You said the prunes were for drying. What does that mean?
Well, it means that they weren't really meant to be consumed and shipped fresh. They were a type of prune that had a very thin skin, and when they were dead ripe, they would essentially fall off under their own weight or a slight rustling of the branches in the wind. We would help that a little bit with these poles with a hook on the end, and then we would shake them just gradually or lightly, and the ripest prunes would fall off, leaving the ones that were less ripe on the tree. So the prunes would ripen gradually, kind of a bell-shaped curve of ripening. So then we would go out and pick them. This would start in maybe early August. First couple of weeks of August, we'd go out and pick the prunes, and we would, go through these different orchards. They had their own cadence of ripening, depending on the rootstock and the dryness of the soils. We had a couple other varieties that ripened at different times, but they were pretty minor, and some of those were more for pollination of the trees. There was what we called sugar prunes, and those were to somehow you had better sets of your of fruit if you had some of these other types of prune out there. And there were a few of another type that I honestly don't know why they were out there. They weren't as easy to work with. They didn't seem to make as sizable a prune. They were probably more for making prune juice. But so there were several varieties out there. But the best one, the main one, was what we called the imperial prune. And it was glorious as fresh fruit. It was fantastic. I would say it's analogous to Pinot Noir in that it had thin skins and delicate perfumes in the fruit. So these things they'd fall on the ground. We would pick them up, put them in boxes, and then we would transfer them to a larger box. Normally we could pick maybe 2 of those 1,000-pound boxes in a morning, and then drive them into a dehydrator where they would wash the prunes, spread them out on trays, and then put them into forced heat drying tunnels. In the old days, we were allowed to just pick them up and put them on trays out on the ground, out in the field, and then where it would be very hot, and so you get basically it's solar drying of the prunes. But somehow that was not considered proper by some governmental agency, so we weren't allowed to do that anymore. But we still did them for us. The ones that were softest and the ripest ones, we would go through and pick them up, say in the afternoon after we harvested the less dead ripe prunes, the real soft ones. We would go through the next field that we were planning to pick the next day, pick up the prunes off of the ground, and then put those on the trays for us. And those were really the best ones. In my opinion, that was the best way to do it, but we were prevented from selling those.